Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're on the third episode of the build series and we're going to be doing a little bit of maintenance on the car. Since it is at 33,000 miles, we're going to be changing spark plugs, and we're also going to be cleaning our map sensor, which is located right here at the top of the manifold, and our map sensor, which is located in the intake. So I'll be taking off the intake cover in a bit. So the spark plugs are located in here. I don't know if you guys can see. Okay, so we got a coil pack right there, that black part, and then the one next to it over here. And then we got the other two. Oh, you won't be able to see this one, but they're under this cover right here. So I have the engine cover off already. And what I'm going to be doing is removing the battery on this side, and on this side I'm going to be removing the ECU, unbolting it and just moving it aside. And I think that should be enough since I do have an aftermarket intake, but if I need to make more room I'll have to just uninstall the whole intake box. So we'll get started in a bit. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is disconnect the battery. Got that one loosened up. This side. It's not making any contact. Alright, and then this one, I'm going to go ahead and loosen it up as well. And then we're going to go ahead and take off the bracket. Make things a little faster. Okay, so got enough hooks from the back one. There you go. Make sure you don't lose this. The battery's just gonna come straight out. Alright, so we got the battery removed now, and you can see the coil packs a little better. The first one's right here, and the second one's back here. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is remove the cover, this metal cover right here. So we got, I believe it's a 12 millimeter. Yeah, so you got a 12 millimeter bolt right there, and then another 12 millimeter bolt right in here. So we'll get those taken off real quick. Alright, so we got the two bolts taken off, and then you want to go ahead and remove this clip from this metal plate. And then cut it off. Set that aside. Alright, since I figured I'm going to be cleaning the map sensor, I might as well go ahead and just remove the whole intake box just to make things easier and not have to do it later on and waste time. Alright, so we got our cover taken off. Set that aside, and I don't know if you guys can see, but I am going to have to remove the intake. The map sensor is located in there. Alright, so we're going to continue to take off the air box and the air intake itself. So you got a bolt here, a bolt down there, and then you got this bracket that holds this in place. You just want to go ahead and loosen that up and then take off this worm clamp to remove the intake. Then we'll also be setting the ECU aside. Just want to go ahead and take off these these two bolts. I believe they're 10 millimeters. So I'm just use a screwdriver real quick, just to loosen up this worm clamp. And loosen these up. Oh, and there's also another bolt right here. So when I got this loosened up, just go ahead and slide this off. It's best to just push it down and then flip it up. It's fairly clean since I cleaned it like about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months, but I did take it on a road trip, so it's pretty dirty right here. Might as well just go ahead and clean that too. Alright, so you want to go ahead and take off your snorkel too. So just pop these off. Set that aside. Alright, so you want to go ahead and remove these 10 millimeter nut and bolt. Careful not to lose that. And then there's another 10 millimeter bolt right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and use a really long extension to take out this final one. Alright, so once you got all those bolts removed, you just want to slide out your intake box, set that aside, and go ahead and loosen these two 10 millimeter bolts where the ECU is mounted. Careful not to drop anything. So once you got that loosened up. Alright, so it is held by two rubber grommets here. And you just want to lift it up. And then you can set that aside. Alright, so I went ahead and I disconnected this one, and this one. So there's 3 clips. And you just go ahead and take the ECU, set that aside. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take off the coil packs. So it's held on by a 10 millimeter bolt each one. So you break those loose. So you want to go ahead and just wiggle out the coil pack. So the first one there. It's like almost a little harder to get to, but just patience. There we go. Just set them aside. Alright, so I went ahead and broke the spark plugs loose, and then I'm just gonna try to take it out by hand. It's a good idea to get a spark plug socket, but I couldn't find one. But if you have a magnet, that'd be easier too. I can't find mine right now, but I just have to wing it. Get lucky. Ooh, we did. Nice. So, the stock one doesn't look too bad, but it's a little burnt. Let's show a little comparison to the new ones we're gonna install. So yeah, there's a bit of a difference there, but we'll go ahead and do the next one on this side and the other two on the driver's side. Alright, so it does help to have a universal joint and a couple extensions. Just gotta figure out which extension is best. And take your 14mm deep socket. Just go ahead and put that in there. Just break that loose. Go ahead. Next one's a little more of a tighter spot. So we'll swap out the extension. Let's see if this one works a little better. So now we can just take it out by hand. Alright, so after you went ahead and tighten it by hand, you want to go ahead and torque down those spark plugs to 12.9 foot-pounds, which is about 154 inch-pounds. There you go. Now the next step is to reinsert the coil packs. Alright, so after you hand tighten those 10mm bolts for the coil packs, you want to go ahead and tighten those down to 6.3 foot-pounds, which is about 75 inch-pounds. So you got that one tightened down. Now we can get the final one tightened down. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to work on putting the ECU back in place. So be careful. And you want to line up these 2 points into these rubber grommets. So go ahead, just line it up, push down on it, and you'll feel it go into place. Then go ahead and get the two 10mm bolts that are holding it down. Alright, so after you hand tighten those down, go ahead and tighten them down to about 120 inch-pounds, which is like 10 foot-pounds. Alright, and don't forget to also put the wires back into place. There you go. Alright, so now we're gonna move on removing the MAF sensor. So I already took off the first screw holding this down, and I loosened the second screw down here. Now before you completely take that out, you're gonna want to disconnect it. So just press back on this tab. Pull back. And then take off the second screw. Try not to drop that. And carefully wiggle out the MAF sensor. Alright, so same thing for the MAP sensor, which is located right here on top of the manifold. Remove the 10mm bolt holding that down. Same thing, disconnect, just press down here. Just wiggle it out carefully. There you go. Set that aside. Move this and carefully wiggle this one out. Alright, so this one isn't as dirty, but you just want to go ahead, take your mass airflow sensor cleaner. You can get at any auto parts store. I got this one at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Just spray that down. Just let that dry before you reinstall it. And And then our map sensor is a bit dirty. You guys can see that. But same thing. Just go ahead, take the cleaner, give it a few sprays. I'll let that dry off too, and then just go ahead and reinstall them. Alright, so you want to carefully put that into place again. You can only go one way, so you put that there, and then put this screw in. Put that in so you don't forget. Just tighten both screws down. Alright, now same thing for the map sensor. I'm gonna go ahead and quickly stick it in. Push it down here a little quick. Then go ahead and take the bolt. Tighten that down. It back in. Alright, so at this point you just want to put everything back how it was. You install your intake box and your air intake and your engine cover and then your battery. So once you get all that done, reconnect your battery and start your engine. Alright guys, so this concludes episode 3 of the build series, and I hope you guys found this video helpful. We got everything tightened down, we got the battery connected, we got the engine cover back on, we got all the sensors connected and everything, and that concludes this episode. Don't forget to hit the like button and comment if you guys found this video helpful. Stay tuned for the 4th episode, which is going to be install day, which is hopefully this Saturday, but that's if my intercooler comes in this week. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for joining us.